Looks like a leak at the plant.
Back up, back up! Leak at the plant. They had to shut her down.
Is there any way around?
Whole area is being evacuated.
Is there anything I can do?
No, ma'am.
Thank you for your help.
You're welcome, Truman.
Like the Truman Show, it appears we live in a bubble. Anywhere, anytime, we can be watched and tracked. High-street cameras, satellites, Google Earth, and increasingly drones have the capacity to detail our every move, and powerful sources act to shape our behaviours. For example, US National Security Agency's PRISM allows the countries known as the Five Eyes to access mobile and internet data at will. Now the watchers can be watched and tracked by the public. Already we have on a local scale public photos of an MP fighting on the steps of the Victorian Parliament and the reversal of a planning decision.
In a tweet from a
through
US
social
teen pop
media
star to draw
uproar.
attention to a controversial redevelopment.
So what does it all mean? Traditionally, surveillance has been organised around the idea of panopticon, originally designed by Jeremy Bentham in the 18th century. Panopticon was a tower placed inside a circle of cells where the guards were invisible. Thus, the prisoners did not know if the guard was there or not, but of course behaved as if he was. This was developed further by the French philosopher Michel Foucault. He described the panopticon as the exercise of power through the gaze. As Gilbert Carleur posits in a recent article, contemporary studies argue for a panopticon or even fractal panopticon approach. These arguably shift the definition from a unidirectional view of surveillance to a Deleuzian, multifaceted assemblance which abstracts human bodies from their territorial settings. But Foucault, in his own words, is interested in what lies behind the gaze.
Reforms in the mind, in the attitude, in the behavior, and so on. How could they imagine they can obtain it? Through disciplinary techniques. And those disciplinary techniques, where did they found them? In school, in the army, where they have been used since the middle of the 17th century.
Meaning might be found in a deconstruction of layers of reality rather than in the binary oppositions that Carleur's article explores. I have drawn on Suhail Inayatullah's causal layered analysis approach to do this. This method of analysis looks to understand what sits systemically underneath what has been argued, what worldviews are privileged, and what myths and metaphors inform these worldviews. This search for Inayatullah is about insight and the construction of a multiple realities, not what is necessarily right. Through this lens, one can see that Foucault's fundamental argument is systemic, not one focused on the panopticon per se. His emphasis is on the disciplinary system that the panopticon allows. He argues that it has extended to all kinds of other modern organisations. This can be described as the mechanistic worldview. Underlying this view is the Newtonian idea of clock time. The use of time in this way is, of course, the basis on which all surveillance is organised. Clearly, it is privileged by those agencies that have discipline at their core, the armed forces, police, and intelligence. I might add as a subtext, this is why sometimes surveillance struggles in an asymmetrical situation. It is my reading of Carleur that the notion of discipline at a systemic level, its influence on mechanistic worldviews, and control through clock time are common to both Foucault and the post-panopticon theorists. However, we have other senses of time that are natural to the human experience. Barbara Adam in Time Watch defines these other senses as timing, temporality, and tempo. Thus it appears that individuals and societies may rebel if these other senses are marginalised through clock time. Now the networking technologies allow people to free themselves from the gaze and reconstitute their sense of time in a way that is independent of clock time. There is a tension between the surveillance society and the behaviours of a coming collaborative age. But perhaps in the end, it is Patrick McEwen as the prisoner who best describes the rebellion.
I will not be pushed, filed, stamped, indexed, briefed, debriefed, or numbered.